Before moving on to the next journey of the Gru family, I took some time to rewatch the first part of Despicable Me. Indeed, even though the animation shows signs of aging, the story about a villain with grand ambitions who eventually finds them in a small family brings a very warm feeling. However, like most franchises, the depth of the story has gradually diminished over time and with the sequels. Despicable Me is no exception. Moreover, there's one thing this brand has always maintained: its entertainment value. People no longer go to the cinema to learn moral lessons. All we need after a tiring day are simply scenes like these.
Look up!
Perhaps never before has reviewing a movie felt as comfortable and easygoing as this time, because maybe you all already know where to set your expectations. I'll leave the Rotten Tomatoes rating on the screen so everyone can consider it before heading to the theater. Critics may give it Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience gives it delicious popcorn. A story lacking highlights, yet it still manages to bring us back with refreshing laughs. So, let's see what trouble Gru and his little family will stir up next with the mischievous minions, and what new things this fourth installment has compared to its predecessors. Set after the events of the third installment, Gru is now enjoying a peaceful family life with his wife and children. They happily welcome a new addition to their small family, Gru Jr. However, an unexpected event occurs during one of Gru's missions for the Anti-Villain League, AVL. Our long-nosed spy inadvertently incurs the wrath of a dangerous adversary, putting their home in jeopardy. From there, they must relocate to a new place, using aliases to conceal their identities, leading to plenty of comical and challenging situations. As mentioned earlier, storytelling is no longer a strong suit for the Despicable Me franchise. Additionally, juggling three daughters needing development, along with Lucy, and Gru himself with his mischievous little rascal, puts tremendous strain on a runtime barely exceeding an hour and a half. To compensate, the film ruthlessly sacrifices multiple plotlines, most notably the twin brothers we saw in the third installment. However, even with these sacrifices, the development of main characters like Agnes, Margot, and Edith is nearly non-existent. The Gru girls not only fail to mature, but also retain their familiar personalities. Edith remains cool, Agnes remains cute, and Margot is still stuck in her teenage phase. Particularly disappointing is Margot's subplot about attending a new school, which should have been highly engaging but inexplicably ends abruptly after a single scene where she faces bullying from classmates. There's no further development on this issue, and even Gru fails to address it. One wonders why Margot couldn't befriend Poppy, the mischievous neighbor girl, and have humorous schoolyard adventures together, a missed opportunity by the scriptwriters. In a plot thick with potential villains, Margot's storyline takes a completely different turn, focusing entirely on Gru, who already has his hands full with his abundance of children. Clearly, he doesn't need another accomplice. So, perhaps after leaving the theater, we'll forget about characters like Poppy even existed. In summary, aside from the house-moving escapade resembling a summer vacation, the Despicable Me characters remain largely unchanged. Except for young Gru Jr. deepening his bond with his grumpy old dad, a dim but noticeable bright spot in the story, reminding us the writers still know how to tighten the family bonds. If you cherish the adorable antics of the three girls, the bond between Gru and Lucy, or those moments of joy, rest assured they remain intact, continuing to embody the charm of this beloved franchise. However, if you're waiting for something more special, we might have to wait for future installments. Even the main characters have to step aside. It's really hard to find any breakthrough from one-time villains like Maxime Lemel. When this slick-haired guy shows up, you might find yourself missing him.
Oh yeah!
Quirky yet sufficiently dangerous, humorous yet suspenseful, Vector at that time made me burst out laughing not just because of his orange jumpsuit and wild hairstyle. His kidnapping of Gru's daughter became a perfect plot twist for Gru to realize the importance of family. Similarly, Maxime had a storyline identical in pushing our grumpy main character into a hostage rescue situation. However, with limited screen time and power that didn't particularly grab attention, these predictable developments likely only linger in the audience's memories until they leave the theater. And why didn't Maxime turn all those ordinary people into insects? Perhaps if he had, we would have witnessed a grand battle between minions and a swarm of bugs. In conclusion, Despicable Me possesses a simple storyline with lessons that resonate broadly. The characters continue to charm the audience, successfully engaging them with the endearing voice acting that truly understands their roles. Yet, while it may seem greedy, as someone who has followed Despicable Me from the early days, I still hope that in the future, more investment will be made in the content. After all, isn't content the sturdy bricks that have kept audiences loving this dysfunctional family all these years? And that concludes the somewhat sharp-edged impression. Now, setting aside all expectations, it must be acknowledged that the Minions still managed to do something truly special. After the Kung Fu Masters and the rise of Gru, this time we're introduced to a super team of minions that might not be stronger than the Fantastic Four, but they're definitely funnier. While watching, I'm just looking forward to the scenes involving these clueless heroes and hoping that if there's another Minions standalone film after Part 3, this hilarious squad will be in it. Speaking of standalone films, before its release, Illumination released a video following the multiverse trend, jokingly announcing a film slated for release in 2089. Of course, this was just a prank, but with their possession of those yellow-skinned comedy geniuses, it's no exaggeration to say the studio could churn out sequels indefinitely. Especially as of the time of writing this review, just a few days after its premiere, the film has already grossed $200 million worldwide, proving the audience's affection for these adorable creatures. Illumination continues to leverage its strengths, goofy expressions, absurd situations, to create a sense of comfort and lightheartedness. The humor lands naturally, appealing to all ages. The Minions' gibberish and Gru's mishaps delight younger viewers, and I've heard plenty of laughter in the theaters. In a crowded animated market dominated by heavyweights, the studio has successfully maintained its distinctive style. It's characterized by disproportionate body shapes, ludicrously imaginative gadgets, and vehicles, all within a friendly fantasy world. The signature style crafted by renowned artist Eric Gillen has become truly unique, often eliciting laughter with just a glance at its quirky designs. From an adult's perspective at the movies, not every joke lands, and the wit in the dialogue may have faded along with the depth of the storyline. But as mentioned, the most enthusiastic audience isn't us, it's the young ones, rewarded by their parents for a fun weekend evening, enjoying popcorn and a movie. I still hold the belief that a work is successful if it achieves its intended goal, and perhaps Despicable Me still scores top marks in the eyes of young critics. And that's my take on the latest installment in this billion-dollar franchise. The storyline is simple, sometimes a bit shallow, but it's compensated by laughs and the indescribable charm of the characters. The grandeur of the Minions only makes them cuter with each film, and that alone is enough to draw people to the theaters. Despicable Me, perhaps no longer fitting its moon-stealing name, has shifted from lofty ambitions to focus on Gru becoming a caring father figure for his family. Illumination has faithfully conveyed this new direction to its young audience. Yet, success is undeniable. Amid theaters filled with horror films or intense dramas like Inside Out demanding attention, the Minions may soon reclaim their box office dominance. After all, who wouldn't want to unwind with laughter after a long, exhausting day? That wraps up the video. Goodbye, see you in the next videos, and enjoy your movies.